Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Maski TV. I'm your host for tonight, Jaden. And you know, a bit about myself, I didn't quite enjoy math as much, but I know someone that will make math as much fun as it should be, and that will be your teacher for today, and that will be teacher Dundee. Now sit back and relax, let math.
Hello and welcome, grade 9 of South Africa, across the world as well. We are here again, Maski TV from Maski Miller Learning. We really enjoy staying with everyone in South Africa. But today we have a special day for our grade 9s, more like the metric of the senior phase. So we need you to concentrate and focus. You know, we're not going to do maths without you. I mean, you guys are the starter part of it, right? So please sit down, settle, have your pen, have your paper, and today we're going to learn about something very interesting. With all this, what we are doing, we are trying to support you there at home and ensure that your teachers are fully supported as we do the interventions lesson like this. Remember, we are not here to replace your teachers, but we are here to encourage you and ensure that you guys do what you have to do in terms of understanding. So yes, we are going to do graphs today, but particularly on these graphs, we're going to stay focused and ensure that with a short period of time, you guys have mastered how to interpret the graphs. So we're going to stay more like 30 minutes with you and make sure that we do this together. So tune in and let's go. Okay. As I said, our lesson is about interpreting the graphs. Right? So as we are interpreting the graphs, we're going to focus on the equation of linear graphs, which we call them linear equations. So we'll show you how the linear equations are all about and elaborate more in interpreting the graphs using intercepts. Okay, so as we know, in maths we have like rules, like axioms, some sort of things that we have to follow. So in these graphs, we need to follow one particular rule. We need to be able to have a Cartesian plane for us to have any sort of graph. Our today's graph is linear graph. So linear graph are all the graphs that are drawn or can appear as straight lines, which I will show you, but they have to be in a Cartesian plane. A Cartesian plane is something like this, where you have your y-axis and always label your y, and x-axis where you have to always label your x. Remember, when you are drawing a Cartesian plane, you must put the arrows because a Cartesian plane is coming from somewhere and it's ending from somewhere. So we don't know where it's starting and where it's ending, but we're just going to focus it on the numbers that we are about to start using. An example of our straight line graph, you can see. So every time you draw your Cartesian plane, you would have the numbers. You can see the one on the horizontal start with negatives, then 0, then positives, but we still label. And also we leave our arrows around, as well as our y-axis, which is the one that is vertical. It also have numbers, start with negative and goes up, also have arrows and labeled y. And our straight line graphs, that's how it looks like. So this is our linear graph, which is a straight line. Okay, so we did say that one of our focus will be the equations of how this equation look like. So in all this, we have our equation or general formula of the equation of the linear graph is y equals mx plus c. And one will be like, what is this? Okay, so we just try to color code it for you. M represent gradient. So the formula of your gradient is starting with M, or we represent gradient as a whole by just writing M. And C represent your y-intercept, right? So that's the y value that will be on the graph, which I will show you. So in any time and case, they can ask you to show where your M or write down your M and C. So you can see, for example, here our M is going to be 2 and our C value is going to be a positive 3. Same applies to the second equation. We have y equals a negative x plus 4. That negative x means something. And if you have just an x, for example, if you remember from the previous lessons or grades with your teachers, when you have a variable x, for example, say you just have a variable x, then what happens is you're going to have a 1 always before the number x. So if there's a number variable anyhow, there's always a 1 before it. So for this one, because it's a negative x, that means we are going to have a negative 1x. But we do not write the 1 because I know 1 multiplied by anything is that particular thing. That's why we don't write it. So that is why our gradient here is going to be a negative 1. Our m is a negative 1 and our c is a 4. Yes, of course. Now we have a special case where y equals 5. Right? We did say that c represents the y-intercept or the y value. Right? So here, if you look, you will see that you have y equals 5 only. What happened to m? This simple means that our m is not there. And in maths, when things are not there, what do we write? Nothing. But the nothing in maths, we write it as a 0. So that simple means that we would have y equals 0x plus 5. But we don't write the 0. So that simple means that our m is 0 and our c will be 5. Capture that. Okay, same applies here. If you check the more example of our linear equations, if you had y equals 3x, here you do have your m, but you don't have your c. So since you have your m here, you can see that m is going to be 3. If we don't have something, what do we say? Of course, we say 0. So that means our c value is going to be 0 on this particular one. So m will be 3 and then c will be 0. Right? Going forward, if you have y equals negative 2x minus 1, because of the negative, if you remember, when we had y equals mx plus c, we did write it as a positive there. But if you have minus 1, that simple means you have your c as a negative, as much as you have your m as a negative 1. So c will be negative 1. I always say if you have someone with a surname, even if they get married, they take their surname along. Even if they change the surname, in Home Affairs, their surname stays the same. So it doesn't change even though they will change it in the front of people. So this minus here, it's a surname that goes to C with this person, 1. So it goes there and it becomes a minus 1 as our C. This one, we'll come to it and I'll show it to you when we come, and then I will elaborate how do we get x equals 4 and how can you understand how that one is done. With that being said, I'm going to give you a few minutes to try and analyze and make sure that when we come back, you have got some water with you and we can go on so that you can be able to get into what we need to get. So tune in. We'll see you right back.
Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that lesson at the moment. Remember, taking a break, very important. Like Teacher Tandi said, drink your water. Now, please put your questions below in the comment section so that Teacher Tandi can answer them later. Or you can ask Maski to look more learning material on our AI, on our WhatsApp channel, which is 072 091 0388. Okay? Cool. Now, back to it.
Yes. We do have a friend called Maski and it is on WhatsApp, so it can help you. Remember, the number is 072 091 0388. So you can actually save it and we go on. But let's do this one together. So if I had x equals 4, that will be through drawing the graph. So if you try and have your Cartesian plane as we have indicated, remember we spoke about this. If we do the Cartesian plane, we always have to show your arrows, right? That's very important. So I'm also going to try and show mine like that, neat and clear. If I have to draw the line, or I have to then draw x equals 4, I'll just have to look at my x-axis, which is this line, and I'll leave my y-axis there. When I have to draw it, I'm going to just look at it or count, because you would have your numbers. Remember, this is 0, you would have your 1, 2, 3, and then your 4. So if my 4 is here, that means my graph will look like this. So let's do that. Do you see? if I draw my graph like that, that symbol means that my x equals 4 graph is always just going to be parallel with my y-axis, and it will never touch that. I hope some of you remember the parallel lines, that they never touch each other. They just go with the same distance in between. So this is the scenario then, where you have your two lines that would never touch, but this equation or this linear graph is just a special one that we say x equals 4. So it doesn't have any m and it doesn't have any c. At this point, this is what you have, and then let's see what it is that we need to do. So the focus, a real focus of your lesson today is about intercept. So you have learned how to find the table of values. You have been working on graphs, having a value and table, and then you put your input and then your output. But today we're going to learn a different strategy that is quick and sweet. What is that? So to find an intercept, what is an intercept? An intercept is the point where two graphs cut, or a graph and x-axis like I showed here. So this point here is literally called your x-intercept, right? So an intercept is when you have a Cartesian plane and you also have a graph cutting there. So if you have your Cartesian plane and the graph cutting at some point, we call that an intercept. And we call this line axis, right? So this is x-axis, that is y-axis. Okay. So the y-intercept, how do we get it? We have actually two types of intercept, y-intercept and x-intercept. Every time we're looking for y-intercept, we let x to be 0. And every time we are looking for x-intercept, we let y to be 0. I'll show that. Okay, before we go there, let's look at what we know. So we have already covered the equation, right? You guys should know now that's our equation, y equals x plus 1. It's the same as what we just covered now. This is the table format that you guys already have been doing, and this is how it's represented in the graph. But the focus is, how do I then find x-intercept? So look at this. We did say that where x is 0, then y is something else. So let's see. Where x is 0, our y is 1. So there is our point. Can you see that? Where y is 0, x will be something for x-intercept. So for y is 0, our x is going to be a negative 1. So that is the point we have down there. So you see, that's minus 1 and 0. Why are we writing them like that? Can somebody else pop it in the chart? Yes, of course. We always start with the input and then output. So we always say x first and then y, because we input before we get the output. Okay. More of this is shown. Here you can see we have a negative 2, a minus 2, and 0. That is our x-intercept. As well as in our y-axis, we do have 0 and 4. That's our y-intercept. Can you see? We still have our arrows, the numbering, as well as the labeling. That is very important. Okay. Now we're moving to using those equations that we have learned, but we are now going to show you how did we go about getting those intercepts when we are calculating. So finding the intercept, when you are using the equation, remember I said when you find the intercept, you have to make a y-intercept, you have to make x to be 0. When you find x-intercept, you have to make what? Y to be equal to 0. So let's see. Here we are given an equation, y equals 2x plus 5. And the question is on our Spot on Mathematics Learner's Book, grade 9. Okay, that is where you will find it. It's inside our Spot on Learner's Book, grade 9, and it is on page 186. This nice example is there, and for many, many examples, you can go there, you will find them. So when I have this, remember, our target is to get what? Is to get our x and y-intercept. So it doesn't matter which one you start with. If I decide to start with y-intercept, I can just say to find y-intercept, that's a summary, I am going to let x to be equals to 0. So that means for me to get y, I must substitute x with 0, right? So if I substitute my x by 0, then that simple means I'm going to have what? Can one of you pop it on the chat? Yes, of course, because 0 multiplied by anything is literally 0. So y will be equals to 5. And the coordinate, therefore, will be x and y, which is 0 and 5. Right? So that's how we're going to get this part. Now, when we are looking for our x-intercept, as I've indicated, to find x-intercept, we need to let y to be equals to 0. So this simple means wherever there's y, we are going to put 0. So our y is the beginning, so we're going to have 0 equals 2x plus 5. But we need to only have x, right? So we cannot have them like this. How are we going to do that? We need to try and move everything away from the x. And how do we move them? We use the additive values. So for example, here we have a plus 5. For us to remove this plus 5, we need to use a minus 5. But what we do on the right, we also must do on the left. So let's show it this way. We're going to put our minus 5 there. So the 0 will be here and the minus 5 will be there, right? So what we do on our right, we have to do on the left to balance the equation. So what is a 0 minus 5? It's going to be minus 5. And this side, we are going to have 2x because positive 5 minus 5 is 0, right? After having this, we need to still get rid of everything that we have. Remember, if you have a multiplication, you remove it by division. So if we divide both sides by a 2, the 2 will be divided and we get 1. Then we remain only with x. Then x will be equals to a negative 5 divided by 2, right? That is what we'll have. But what is this negative 5 divided by 2? This is just of our improper fraction. If you really want to go further, you can change our improper fraction and you write it properly in this way. So you're going to say how many times the 2 goes into the 5. So it goes literally 2 times, right? Because it's 2, 4. And what are we remaining with? A 1. What did we divide it? A 2. That means x is equals to x. It really doesn't matter that you're writing x equals to negative 2 whole number, 1 divided by 3. Or you are writing as negative 2 whole number, 1 divided by 2 equals x. It's just that I think the math people were left-handed like me, eh? So they always put everything on the left. Oh, it made sense because our mind is on the left, right? So this is how we coordinate it, but there's nothing wrong if you leave your answer with the x on the right and you put it on the left. I hope that explanation and example was very clear for you guys to then apply that into this, because now I need you to try and just take a screenshot of this, and also you can go to our textbook. This now is our platinum textbooks, the book that everybody like and every school does have. So you can use this book. If you don't have it, shop it online. You can get it on the PDF and you can open it everywhere, or you can have your own copy from any bookstore. And you go to page 204, you'll find many, many questions like this. For example, this question in the book is saying, determine the x-intercept and the y-intercept of the linear graph, but using a table. Now we are saying, determine them using the method I just showed you. So you don't really have to use a table. You can use the method I showed, right? Okay. So when you're using the method I showed, for example, this one, you're going to use, let's take 1 and see. If I have y plus 2x equals 3. I'm going to leave you with this one for you guys to literally look at it and make sure that when I come, you are able to get to the solution. And we're going to see how you're going to find your x-intercept and your y-intercept at this point. Tune in. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Maski TV. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. And at this point, before we even run, remember it's a race we're running together. So before we run, we need to address just some of our own people's questions that we need to try and make sure that we go together. So first question is, where's the gradient when we are busy talking about these equations, right? So remember, we did speak about some things, and one was if we have y equals mx plus c, our gradient is m. But this m, we're going to talk about it more on our next lesson where we are calculating the gradient. And this will then lead us to our other lesson where we draw the graph using the gradient. But at this point and moment, we're just recognizing what the gradient is all about and what is it. So which is the value of m, right? That's the first question. Now our second question might be represented here, or I can just quickly go back or draw it for you. So if I had, as I always said, my Cartesian plane like this, if I have my Cartesian plane like that, let's go put the arrows so it's neat and clean. And we label them, right? So we did say that the center, or where these two meet, is literally where 0 is. So if I'm at 0, going to the right, I have positive. So you can check that. When I have 0 and I go to the left, I have negatives. Just like this, right? So every value in this line is going to be my equation y equals 0. So therefore, if you were to ask to be drawing a graph y equals 0, you just draw your Cartesian plane, and on top of your Cartesian plane, you just go and put the dots like this with a ruler. Then that is your equation that will be, or your graph that will be y equals 0. Same applies to your y-axis. So in this line of y-axis, every value here of x is going to be 0. So therefore, this line, it is literally called x equals a 0 line. Okay, x equals 0 line. Let's put it like that. Looks like I'm going upside down, don't you think? Let's see. Okay, so we put it nicely like that. So this will be x equals to 0 line, which means that my graph for that will be on top of this like that. You can see my yellow graph is going in there. So that is it all about when you're drawing the graphs. Okay. So since we're busy with this question, and you can see that my x-intercept, it is here, right? And my y-intercept, it is there. So when you have to calculate, just like we did with the equation we're just doing here, you would see that y will be equals to 0 and 3. That is your y-intercept. That is where the point is. And your x will be therefore 3 divided by 2 and 0. So this is where it is. Remember, 3 divided by 2 is 2 goes into 3 one time. That is why it's 1 and then comma 5. Why is it comma 5? Because it goes one time, it leaves 1 and was divided by 2. So it goes one time, it leaves 1, it was divided by 2. This is the same as 3 divided by 2. So this is what is here, right? There's many questions, and many of them that you can use or you can do. You can find it in our other nice book today. This is a very good book for maths. I really like it. It's actually friendly and it's very clear into explaining. If you go to page 225 of this book, you're going to find many activities, which one of them is this, of about what we are busy doing. But remember, if you get to the point where you get stuck, please use Maski to help you. Maski is our WhatsApp friend. So if you get stuck, we are busy responding to your questions, we are answering for you, but you're not getting there. Please use Maski to practice and also keep on asking us questions from our socials. At this point, we're going to pick like 1 or 2 questions. I think number 4, you guys get it, right? You can find your x-intercept and you can find your y-intercept. If you can, please pop it in the chat quickly. I'm just going to select some questions that we can do together and we get to that. So let's start. If I had y equals 2x minus 6. That is our number 1. Right? If I had that, can you see how it's sitting? It's actually drawn like that. It's fine like this. So you don't really have to have the points. You have your equation. In this case, let's find our x and y intercept. Okay. Right? Y intercept. We said we are going to do what? Y intercept. We let x to be equals to 0. Talk to yourself, because if you don't say it, you would never remember it. So y will be equals to 2, and wherever I see x, I'm going to put 0. Talk to yourself as we are all writing together. Remember, this is for both of us to learn. So y is equals to what? A minus 6. So what will be our coordinate? The coordinates will be 0 and a minus 6. So that's how you get your coordinates. That is for y-intercept. If we go to our x-intercept, we will have to have a 0 equals 2x minus 6. Remember, for x-intercept, we make y being 0. So we substitute our y by 0, and then we go there. So that's what you do. And with this case, that means we'll have a 2x minus 6, and we have our 0 there. Remember I said if we get married, us who get married, we go with our surnames. So we're going to remove this to go to the other side, right? So what is going to happen here is a plus and a minus 6 together will give us 0. And that means we're going to have 2x, and the other side we're going to have 6. Okay, so you divide by 2 both sides. After dividing by 2 both sides, you have your x equals 3. So that will be the coordinate of a 3 and a 0. So I did the first question for you, and I hope that you guys can do the other question by yourself. And please, please, please use Teacher Tandy and Maski TV to help you understand everything that you need to do. I'm going to give you a few minutes for you to do, test, and see if you can be able to get into it. I'll see you right in a very short time. You guys have 20 seconds left. Are we done yet? Hello again to Maski TV Grade 9s. I'm very sure that you have mastered what you had to. So let's see if you guys had managed to get to the solutions. I'm sure that our chat are bumping and you're busy saying what it is that it's supposed to be. And let's see. For me, so I'm just going to give you quick answers. The first, second one, we have y equals a third or a negative third of x minus 1. Remember we said for y-intercept, x is going to be 0. So if I substitute my x with 0, that means y will be equals to a negative 1. My coordinates will be 0 and a negative 1. Did we get that? Okay, so let's do the x1. For x, we need to make y 0. So that means we're going to have a negative, a third x minus 1. But what is going to happen now is, if we want to move this to the other side like you guys do, which I literally say, let's just move the simpler one and just add the 1 both sides, which is the simpler way. So if I add 1 here, and then I come this side as well, and then I add the 1 here, let's add 1. There was 0. That means we're going to have 1 equals a negative, a third x, right? So what are we going to do now? We're going to divide by a negative 1 divided by 3. So if we divide both sides by that, what's going to happen is this will flip and times. I'm sure you remember that. So our answer would still have a negative, but it's going to be a negative what? A negative 3. Right. So it's going to be a negative 3, which means that you're going to have a negative 3 and a 0. So this was a little challenging one that I wanted to show you, and I do believe that the rest you have got it properly and you've got it right. Please, please, please go practice this so that you know how to get to the x and y intercept. You have more questions on the same page and you can be able to work on it. Remember, the page and the book is Today, Mathematics Today, grade 9, and the page is 225. So go take these questions, get your own today's maths, and then you practice and practice. While you are busy on it, get Maski, our friend, 072-091-0388, and make sure that you become buddies like this. It will always help you, trust me. And our next lesson, therefore, will be on gradient. With all that being said, I have enjoyed being with you, grade 9, and I hope you also have enjoyed your lesson. Keep on practicing. You would see, maths will always be the special thing on yours, and it will finally be simple, melted, and mathing. From our side in Maski Miller Learning and Maski TV, we really had enjoyed to be with you. We're really thinking and wishing you the best. Please keep it up and stay tuned when we see you next time. Enjoy. Bye.
And now we enter our next exciting chapter with the launch of Maskiverse, an inspiring trio of innovations, our AI-powered learning companion, captivating TV content, and a vibrant playground for interactive learning, and our own dedicated app, all coming together beautifully to deliver learning outcomes through technology.